Hey, what's going on?
Is he going to be speaking in here?
He's speaking right there. Okay.
Can you guys believe this? It's an indoor event, and it's so quiet in here, so I'm whispering. Let me know if you can hear me.
Okay,
How you doing, boss?
Good, all right.
about 1 to 2 minutes, just let you know. So just again, for everyone, the run of the show is Andrew will speak for a few minutes. We're going to go straight into question and answer. Make sure that everyone has the opportunity to engage, ask some questions, and Andrew will be free to do that. And afterwards, we're going to actually have Andrew and everyone who'd like a picture. There's a garden on the left back there at entrance, and we're going to do individual photos in the garden. It's a nice little view, and make sure everyone has the opportunity to at least get a couple words. We'll start very soon. Thank you. So, also, my name's Trevette, and I have the opportunity to work with Andrew in his daily operations, make sure everything goes smooth, his campaign so it doesn't go smooth. But the reason everyone is here today is because New York City is at a precipice. We are at a turning point, a focus point, that we only have a short amount of time to make sure New York City is on the right track. 2.5 million people had COVID last year, and in that, 52,000 people passed away. I'm going to say 52,000 people passed away, and with COVID, it's become so nationalized, so ingrained in our culture that we don't stop to actually think about how many of those people we lost, how many people are actually impacted by that. Fathers, husbands, daughters, sisters, work colleagues, friends, and that is terrible, because that's in addition to homelessness, people not feeling safe. And people think New York City is irredeemable. I know that's not true. I know you also don't think that for you to be here today. What we need is optimism. What we need is somebody who can unify us. And that person is Andrew Yang, because so many people rather have doubt, fear, and no hope. But Andrew has not only hope, but he has a plan. And that's why he wants to be here. That's why other people don't have these opportunities to actually engage with people, and he does. So that's why I'm so proud, so happy to introduce the next mayor of New York City. Let's give him a round of applause. Andrew Yang.
So I want to acknowledge my soulmate partner in life, Evelyn. Baby, I love you so much. I'm gonna say, what a venue. I confess there's like a solemnity to this venue. You know what I mean? Like you walk in here being like, it's Saturday, right? It's one thing you thought. And that this is, in some ways, what Trevette was describing. There's of course a solemnity to this time in New York City. This is a deeply wounded community. And the wounds, I do tend to think in numbers, so you can think in terms of what we can measure. The 600,000 lost jobs, the over 32,000 friends, family members, and neighbors whose lives have been lost. The fact that hundreds of thousands of people have departed New York City. Some of them I think will get back. Some of them are disliking Florida. But some of them we may not get back. Some of them went to Connecticut or someplace that that wasn't as dramatic a shift. And the question really is whether New York City is still the city of the future for us, our families, our friends, in some cases businesses. I'd love to get a sense of actually kind of where you all are situated. How many of you all live in Brooklyn? Let's try that one. All right, that works. It's just, it makes sense given where we are. So if you look at the conception of New York City, we're fundamentally a place-based economy. We're a place where people come together to live, to work, to go to school, to experience culture, sporting events. We're a place that actually kind of presumes a degree of togetherness. And this past 15 months or so has essentially cast togetherness as a question mark. It's like, is that actually a better way for your kids to go to school? Is that actually a better way for your organization to function? How many of you all have been working remotely over this last period of time? So just so I know, right? And so working remotely has It's ups and downs. I'd actually love to use you all as a focus group on this. So what happened for a lot of people when they started working remotely is at first, and you didn't want to admit this to anyone, but you actually kind of liked it. like there was a period when you were like, you know what, I don't want to admit this, but this is really not so bad. And you were getting a certain amount of work done. And this is just general trends, then a number of months passed, and then you started to go a little bit stir crazy, and you thought, like, you know what, like having a change of environment might not be so bad. Raise your hand if that actually it also happened to you. And so look at that, that's like fairly consistent. So the same thing has happened for various employers around our city, where they're looking up and saying, are we going to reopen our offices? Is it going to be hybrid? What does the schedule look like? What is the office need going to be? This is a fundamental question for New York City. We're missing 88% of commuters right now, as one example. If you go to Midtown Manhattan or Times Square or the heavily commercial areas, they are very, very empty. Here in your neighborhoods in Brooklyn that are very highly residential, it's actually been pretty okay. Because like people, instead of going to the office, have been in your communities. The local businesses have fared better than most as a result. But we are, again, fundamentally a place-based economy. If Zoom is the workplace of the future, it is not a good thing for New York City. How many of you all are parents like me and Evelyn? So if you're a parent, then you had your child in remote school or some version thereof, probably. And I'm just going to speak for myself on this because it's something that families can differ on. Remote school is not a good substitute for in-person learning.
Terrible.
Oh, the parents are pretending that it is a disservice to our kids. So as a numbers guy, studies have shown that you learn 30 to 70% less remotely than you do in person. So there's that. It's like 50%. Who the heck would accept something that's 50% as good as the original? Nobody. Now, it's better than zero. And 29% of New Yorkers don't have high-speed internet at home, so unfortunately a lot of kids have been getting zero. And those kids have been disproportionately black and brown and people with lower levels of resources. So that's terrible. Yet another reason why we need to get the school open and get our kids back into school. But we all know school is not just about that book learning, it's also about socialization and extracurriculars and sports. You remember those? So the fact that our schools have been closed for so much longer than other communities is a dismal failure for us, our families, our kids. I said something to that effect a number of weeks ago, and then it became this mini political hailstorm, and I was shocked because I was like, I thought everyone knew this. I thought this was like pretty much common sense. And this again talks to the centrality of place. You know what I mean? Like if you actually buy the argument that like your kid can be educated remotely and it's just as good, then that's not, first, that's incorrect. But second, that's devastating for New York City. So these are the questions that have to be answered positively. We have to go to organizations that are making, in some cases, you know, like $100 million, even $1 billion decisions about the futures of their organizations, and say a few things. Number one, working in the same physical location is core to your company's or organization's success. That your employees are more collaborative, they're more creative, they're more innovative, and they care about each other more if they're in the same physical environment. Everything I just said is fact. Like, this is actually documented fact, studies have shown. I'll give you one example of a study. This is an awfully wonky political speech, isn't it? But hey, what can I say? I mean, that's what you get. So there are studies that show that academic research is actually more productive and higher level if the professors are close to each other. Think about that for a second. Like, that's one form of work that you think it would not matter where anyone was. But it turns out if they're in the same physical proximity, the research is better. And everything I said about organizations and businesses is true. The pitch I'm going to make to some of you, and it seems like some of you are already past this point, is that this is good for workers too. That being in the same place gives us a chance to develop professionally. A lot of the folks here, actually there's a bit of an age range. One of the things I try and convey to people is like, look, if you're a mature professional, it kind of seems like you can zoom in and like maybe there's not that much of a value loss. But if you're a young person trying to break into an organization and learn what makes that organization successful and earn trust and responsibility and maybe even become part of leadership one day, then Zoom is not the answer. You know what I mean? Like no one's really shining or getting promoted over Zoom in the same way. And the columnist Kevin Roos of the New York Times said, if you're working remotely, you're actually one step closer to having your job being replaced or automated by various technological resources. Because if you think about it, you're already kind of a digital avatar, sort of beaming in. So being together at that office is vital for the organizations, but it's also vital for the workers and for people and for culture and for these organizations to be able to build and develop over time. So these are the cases the next mayor has to make, and literally the future of the city depends upon it. Now, our city, if the metro area of New York City were a country, we'd be the 11th biggest economy in the world, right after Canada. But even more fundamental than the size, I moved here as a 21-year-old law student at Columbia. I didn't know shit. It's like when you show up as a 21-year-old, you're just like, I have had the kind of life and career that I could never have even dreamt of as that 21-year-old. And every single good thing that has happened to me, personally and professionally, was made possible by New York City. New York City is the most fundamental activator and transformer of human potential in the history of the world. That is what is at stake. And that does not happen over Zoom. So our way of life is at stake. The environment that our kids will grow up in is at stake. Whether New York City is actually the city of the future or it will slump and remain a shadow of itself is at stake. If you want to try and restore our city, you have to try and knock out each of the problems one by one. And I want to speak to a problem that I think many of you have been feeling, which is that we just don't feel as safe or secure in our neighborhoods, on our streets. How many of you are hesitant to ride the subway in a way that you have not been in the past? I understand why. I mean, I ride the subway just about every day, but it is a different experience than it was not that long ago. So we have to do everything we can to restore that sense of safety and security, and there are ways to do so that don't compromise our values. But it starts by acknowledging the problems around us and setting a higher standard. I pledged to reduce street homelessness in New York City by 50% or more in my first term. There is no reason someone should be sleeping on the streets of New York. And I've dug into both the scope of the problem and the solutions. The last time we counted street homeless in New York City, we got 4,000. But there's a multiplier for every 12-month period of 4.5, so the true number over a year is closer to 18,000. You have 4,000 to 18,000 people on the streets of New York City. So if you want to reduce that by 50% or more, you have to move 2,000 to 9,000 of them to better, safer, more supportive environments. It's challenging, but it's doable. And a lot of it is based upon the standard of intervention we have when a worker actually interfaces with a street homeless person. Right now, here's the standard, and you all can sense this. The standard is, hey, would you like to come with me to a shelter? Person says no, they stay on the street. That's the current standard. That's one reason why, frankly, there are so many people on the street. The standard ought to be, and will be under my administration, that you approach the person, and then if they are mentally ill, inebriated, unconscious, in distress, in need of medical attention, you get them to a hospital. In some cases, you give them meds, you give them a couple of days of medical attention, and then you bring them to a shelter, a safe haven bed, a psych bed, or supportive housing. That's right for them, that's right for us, that's right for the economic recovery, and that's right also for, at the margins, public safety concerns. There is no law of nature that says that someone should be sleeping on our streets. It's just a policy and leadership failure, and one that I will correct as your mayor. We can take a similar approach to policing. And the surge in gun violence is very real. We do have to do more to address it. And I've talked to experts in policing, and they believe that if we have the right officers with the right training, with the right culture and directives, the right measure of accountability, that we can send people in to communities that are experiencing surges in violence and try and get guns out. Right now, we're standing by while people are getting shot in far too many communities, and we can do more. Now, we need to get the buy-in of those communities so that they actually feel like, okay, like we're in this together, and let's make sure that everyone's on board with this approach. But we need to be protecting our families, even frankly in those neighborhoods that don't make the headlines the same way as if something were to happen in this part of Brooklyn. So here are some of the things that I believe the next mayor can help address, help move us forward on. The economy is central for me. When you talk about our concerns riding the subway, a lot of it is that the subway car is emptier than it used to be. Subway ridership has been down 70%. It is creeping back up. How many of you have noticed that the subways are more crowded now than they've been? Yeah, let's keep it that way, right? But the more populated the subway is, the safer it feels. The fact is, if you have someone who has an issue on the subway and you're alone with that person, then it's quite frightening. If there's someone with an issue on the subway and there are dozens of people, like between you and them, you might not even notice. And so a lot of the sense of stability and security that we enjoy when we're walking our streets or riding the subway is contingent upon our city feeling alive again. And that's what we have to invest in as quickly as possible. I'm going to I don't know how you all feel about tourists in this part of Brooklyn, but I'm just going to go through this because it's, iffy. It's okay. But tourism is very, very important for the New York City economy in terms of supporting 300,000 of the 600,000 jobs we're missing. And tourism is also down about 88% along with commuters. So one of the things we have to do is try to open our city up and send a message that this is still the place to be, to experience best food in the world, best culture in the world. People right now are concerned about visiting New York for a host of reasons. It's COVID, it's public safety. I was just meeting with a civic leader, and he said, I probably shouldn't share this story, probably share, whatever. He said that friends and family came to visit him from the Dominican Republic, and then they said, what the hell is going on with New York City? I probably should not share that, but it was a true story. So what we have to do is we have to turn this experience and image around as quickly as possible. 300,000 jobs depend upon it. That it's not just, frankly, a marketing campaign, it's actually investing in the experiences that people have, because we all know how word spreads today. It spreads via social media. If someone visits New York City and is sending back happy videos, they'll probably send back happy pictures and videos even, no matter what, because that's just the way we're wired now. It's not like a bad time, but still. But we have to take care of the cleanliness and trash pickup in our communities. We have to see to it that when someone arrives at the airport, they're welcomed in a way that will actually get them excited about the experience they're about to have. You know who I talked to about this? Danny Meyer, who is the CEO of Shake Shack, which you all know and love. Does Brooklyn claim Shake Shack? I'm not sure. No. Why not, right? Sort of Madison Square Park, sort of. Anyway, so Danny Meyer was talking about, you can imagine, he's one of the best hospitality minds in the world. He's now the chair of the Economic Development Council. And he said, this is the kind of thing that we have to invest in order to revive our cities, thinking of the entire city as a hospitality experience. So that's the kind of thing that we should be investing. Some of the federal aid that we're getting right now is that we do have an opportunity, but I will say this opportunity lasts 2 years. Now, why am I saying we have a 2-year opportunity? I don't know. What was that? That's how long the relief money lasts, that's right. So we're getting $5.9 billion from the feds, and then maybe $7 billion more expressly for schools, so that money can be spent on a few different things. But the money lasts for 2 years. Mayor de Blasio's office projects a $4 billion deficit in year 3. I want to make a couple of points here. Number one, if I were to tell you that your household was going to face a $4 billion, obviously your household would never face a $4 billion deficit. It have to be a very, very large house. But if your household was facing a $4 billion deficit in year 3, and you got money right now, what would you do with some of that money? Probably save it to try and pay for your deficit in year 3 or reduce the deficit, right? Common sense. Right now, the city is front-loading the spending in years 1 and 2 and then leaving the next mayor, whoever that may be, to deal with a cliff in year 3. I'm going to say that that's lousy leadership, that you should not do this. And so I've written an op-ed to this effect that should be published, I think, this weekend. And working with city council members to try and bring the mayor back. to be, because I don't know about the rest of you, but Evelyn and me and our kids are still going to be here in 3 years, even if Mayor de Blasio is not, you know what I mean? So we have to see to it that he's not just thinking about this period of months, like we have to be thinking about this eventual recovery. So that's point number one. The second point is, how should we spend this money, this federal money that we have coming in? And my argument is that we have to spend the money on kickstarting our economy so that it can operate in a robust way by the time the money runs out. So there are things that we could spend money on that are generative, including some of these things I'm describing about trying to revive tourism and hospitality businesses, invest in, frankly, getting like storefronts open and those things. I think those would be very, very generative. There are other things that we could spend money on that are very positive, that you feel good about, but then come year 3, you don't have any funding source for them, and then you're left figuring out what the next step is. So you have to differentiate between these two categories, and then invest very heavily in category number 1, and then category number 2, you say, look, maybe I can revisit this at some later point. So these are my core priorities. They are around jobs, improving our way of life and our quality of life issues, and public safety. I hope those make sense to you in terms of the things I should focus on.
They do.
No, someone like them. Thank you, sir. But we don't have unlimited time. We don't have unlimited opportunity. If we miss this window of these 2 years, it's going to be very, very rough. Because there's no guarantee that we're going to get another $5.9 billion in federal aid after this one. I mean, you know, the composition of Congress could change, like DC might not be able to do what it's already done again. So we have 2 years, we have to get this election right, and then we have to run like mad to restore our city in the 2 years that we have. I would love your help and support in doing this. Let's go Brooklyn, let's go New York City, and let's get the city we love back on its feet. Thank you all so much. Thank you, I appreciate the help out of you. Hey, so that's back now, look at that. And now we're going to take some questions.
Yeah, so we're gonna point on people, comment right there, and then I'll even start.
Well, I'm certainly not going to do anything to reduce the size of the police force or the budget. I want to see what resources actually will help get crime rates down and clearance rates up. So clearance rates are the rates at which we solve crimes. So here's the nasty combination we're in the midst of right now. Violent crime is up about 100%, and the clearance rates, or the rates at which we solve those crimes, are down 16%. And that's with, frankly, you know, a steady number of police officers, about 36,000. It's a very significantly sized force. So if I'm convinced that more officers would help us bring these crimes down, then I would 100% explore it. But my first move is to figure out what we can do with our existing 36,000 officers to try and address some of these problems, because I'm convinced we can do more. Like, you should not be seeing clearance rates decline if your violent crimes are going up. Just if you think about this for a moment reasonably, if you have more crime, there are probably more solvable crimes, because, you know, it's not like everyone's a mastermind. You know what I mean? Like if you have more crime, your clearance rate should stay stable and maybe even go up a bit. It should not be going down in the way it is. So that suggests that there's actually a problem with the way we're deploying our current resources. And I want to see if we can improve that before I look at whether we should be hiring more. The BQE?
Yeah, and so this has been a critical issue for Heights. And I don't know if you have had a chance to meet with community leaders here and people who've been working to come up with a solution that will really transform the BQE and make it greener and available for the next 200 years.
What's your name, miss?
My name is Christina.
So just to repeat Christina's story, because I have a mic and she doesn't, no, I'm kidding, but, so she's asking about the BQE and then meeting with community leaders to figure out if there's a way that, that it can be built in a way that's sustainable, works for the community, and involves green priorities. So I do have some familiarity with the issue, and here's the fundamental problem. The BQE is starting to fall apart. And so it demands some kind of replacement, but the process of the replacement is going to negatively impact the pedestrian walkway and some of the resources that the people here in the community enjoy, as you should every day. And so I am deeply invested in trying to find a creative replacement or a solution that's going to allow you to enjoy that walkway and the surrounding area, and do so in a way that also enables us to rebuild the BQE in a way that works for our current needs. So if we haven't met with you yet, would love to. And I would just do want to throw out a plug. My campaign manager, who's here today, is the chairman of the
Brooklyn Bridge Park.
Brooklyn Bridge
Brooklyn Bridge
Park.
Park.
Brooklyn Bridge Park.
Hey guys.
Yeah, his name's Chris Coffey. He's over there.
Hey there. And we have met with Save the Pedestrian Plaza. We've met with 2 of the groups at the staff level, and we are committed to finding a creative solution that allows us to keep the pedestrian plaza there as well.
Let's see, you're on top of it.
Yes, well, great. So can I be in touch with Chris?
Absolutely.
Setting up a meeting with some of the people who are most active?
Yes, 100%. Please do liaise with Christina.
Thank you.
So you should know every neighborhood I go to, I bring out a different campaign manager. Kidding. Conrad?
Hey Andrew, I work in affordable housing and homeless housing, and one of the your housing plan is terrific. One of the biggest issues that I see as someone trying to place homeless is our system is so ridiculously over bureaucratic. It's built in a way that the goal is not to house people, the goal is to prevent one person who may not be eligible from getting in. So it's all about, so they're homeless, there are beds, affordable beds all over the city that aren't filled because this process. Have you looked into the process of like affordable housing lists and also the process of placing homeless people? It's so hard to do when it should be
Easy.
It
Yes.
should be easy, I think.
Thank you for your work in this area. You're not the only person who's expressed this frustration to me, but unfortunately I have to say that you could have applied any of a half a dozen contexts and it would have been the same principle, which is small business owner says like, hey, city's very bureaucratic and I only hear from them when they're trying to ding me with fines. Like, no, hey, city's super bureaucratic and I can't even like improve my own, beachfront to make it resilient and they're not letting me. In your case, it's like, hey, I'm trying to find someone a home and like get them into a better environment, and there's a process that's designed to somehow like find people to reject rather than facilitate people being able to do the work. And this to me is a really, really core principle that I cannot wait to help remedy, which is that rules and regulations have a purpose, but if you think that the purpose of the rules and regulations is the rules and regulations themselves, then you wind up with red tape and bureaucracy that ends up driving everyone crazy. And again, you have this in so many dimensions. I'm going to tell you a story about like a pastor at a church that I spoke to. So his predecessor died of COVID, very terrible. He comes in as the pastor of the new church, and then on his first month on the job, the city sends him a property tax bill for $30,000. And he's like, what is this? And the church had failed to like kind of renew its exemption from property tax because the pastor had died and frankly like had like no one was not like going to file this exemption that needed to be renewed. And he said it took him forever for him to get out from under this property tax burden, when I thought to myself, like, couldn't anyone have just gone and looked and said, yup, still a church? You know what I mean? That should not have been like a months-long ordeal. And that pastor had incredible burdens in a community that was mourning and grieving that he was bearing. The last thing he should have been doing is trying to figure out how the heck to like tell the city, that they were still a church. So there are issues like this at every part of New York. The issue you're talking about is even more vital because I think you can tell, like, I'm very passionate about trying to get people to shelter. A lot of people here are too. You have my word that under my administration, we will clear up the red tape and enforce the rules with the purpose of the rules being the end goal, not city employees who think, and this is another thing I've heard, that city employees kind of like have this bit of power, and so they go around like exerting the power in a particular way where they like kind of rejoice in saying no. And then you're just like, you know, like, is that really your job? Like, what are you protecting us from? In your case, you know, they're protecting us from maybe like one person sneaking in, but like, you know, but like, you're like, look, I'm trying to get people shelter. So I am, as you can tell, I'm 100% on board. And thank you so much for the work you do. I'm going to try and make it easier.
Hey, Tom.
Do you know Chris? Is that?
Hey, Tom. How's it going, man?
Chris is.
The reporter.
Sorry, is he a journalist?
He's a journalist. Tom Robbins. Yeah.
Can you just respond to the story? Because a lot of people read it.
Oh yeah, sure thing. New Yorkers know me from my work over the last several years. And the truth is that if someone were advising me professionally when I was deciding whether or not to run for president, I think we all know what they would have said. They would have said, this presidential run, very unwise, like I recommend you not do it. I think Evelyn, unfortunately, might have agreed with that at the time. And so then fast forward to contemplating a mayoral run. And as soon as my presidential campaign ended, I'm was flattered that so many people reached out to me about running for mayor. But I know enough to know that if you were going to take on a project like Run for Mayor, you would want some people that actually had expertise in New York City politics. And so, you know, like I was fortunate to be connected with a group of people that are expert in New York City politics. But if anyone has any interest in what my agenda is, I've literally written a book on my vision for what I'd like to do. And look, someone has that book here. But I think one of the reasons why New Yorkers are so excited about my campaign is that they know that I represent an opportunity to turn the page on a government that's beholden to all these special interests, that I'm going to be very independent-minded, and that I'm going to shape policy based on what's going to help the people of New York City. Yes and yes. And thank you for fighting for equitable health care. It's immoral what's happened to far too many New Yorkers. The inequities have been compounded over this past period through COVID, and we have to do everything we can to remedy it. I'll do everything I can to help.
Okay, thank you everyone.
Thank you, Brooklyn Heights. Early days starts in 5 weeks. Let's win this race and get our city back. Thank you all so much. I'm sticking around to take pictures too. That's the thing.
We're going to, as a reminder, Andrew's going to go to the garden on your back left. We're going to have people form a line, and then you can guide on the exit. Andrew will take you there.
Hey, Tyler. Tyler. Can I take an IG takeover? Hey y'all.
Excuse me, buddy. Find a way to automate them. Maybe we have to find a way to.
I get the angle, right? Where do we go?
One second, let's go. There you go. Thanks, guys. Thanks, man.
Who's up next? Who's up next? Wait.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah, make a circle. The line can go.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Who's up next, folks? Who's up next? You go like a circle this way.
All right, team, I gotta send out a tweet, but make sure you donate because the top donor is gonna get a shout out. The current top donation is $100. The mods are gonna be posting the link in the description now. Oh, thank you, James, for the $50 donation to Andrew Yang. Thank you.
There you go.
You're Yang. How you doing? Pleasure to meet you.
3, 2, 1. There we go. Girl, thank you so much.
When you're ready, I'll meet you there. I don't want to get that many people.
Go up now.
That would get wooing and we don't want that.
I want to do one more. Let's move on to the canopy.
She's coming back there. Thank you guys.
One more.
We're going to go into the canopy.
I mean, look. Okay, watch the steps. Okay, watch the steps. Okay, perfectly. Then watch step down. Okay. Thank you, sir.
We're moving to the dry area.
It is stuff. Look. And he did the
Well, that whole
hot bond. Love that. Yeah.
trying to.
Yeah, I think I'm actually.
Perfect, got a key for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayong, with the $25 donation to Andrew Yang. Thank you so much. Donate right now. secure.actblue.com/donate/yang. In the meantime, I'm about to send out a tweet. Breaking! Andrew Yang says he supports the New York State Health Act, which would guarantee universal health care to every New Yorker and replace the existing private insurance system. Tweet!
Look, yeah, and they would take the tripod home. He'll take the tripod home.
All right, I just sent out my tweet.
How much time?
We're gonna do like an escape room together.
All right. Thank you again, Mayong, for the $25 donation to Andrew Yang through theyanggame.com. Thank you, James, for the $50 donation. Thank you again, Angela, for the $50 donation. Our current donation shout-out leader to get the shout-out from Andrew Yang is actually Predumnia. Predumnia at the last event donated $100. So if anybody would like to best Predumnia and beat him out to become the donation shout-out leader, somebody's got to donate $100. Who's gonna do it? I know one of you has it in you. Look at all the people here that have lined up to see Andrew. They're so excited, and the campaign, they need our support. They need our financial support. That's why we have to give them all of our money. And yeah. Dude, what'd you guys think of that event? You can't see him, but John here to my right, he's pretty hyped up. Triple check for typos. Is there a typo?
Beat it.
Oh, thank you. Hi, I'm Elise. I'm sorry.
Don't worry,
yeah.
don't worry.
Yeah. Don't worry.
So the next event is at 2 p.m., the soccer match in the Bronx. And we will be live here to watch.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to rewatch it too, Elizabeth. It was good. Ah, okay. Thanks, Brent.
He does? Hey, how are you? Nice to see you. We'll talk in like 5 minutes.
Three, two.
Yeah, it really was, wasn't it, Elizabeth?
There it is.
Generally, when I was
Oh no, that's not. That's yeah, of course.
I was at the type of side of working. I was at the type of
I do some petitioning, and I work. Again, not as
Everybody on the hill ready right
Alright, 3, 2, 1. There it is. Perfect. Alright, 3, 2, 1. Perfect.
Oh, we'll use the same phone.
Alright, cool. There we go. 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Got a bunch.
My boss in Ukraine last year said he was yeah, he's a great guy. I love him. Thank you, sir. All right, appreciate it. You can tell I tried to look him up and get like this. He's in California now.
Three, 2, 1. Perfect. Got some for you.
Well, Arlo, there's actually supposed to be a rally next Saturday. However, we will not get access to it unless we raise more money through these donations. That's the only way they let us stream the events. If we don't raise money, we're not allowed to stream. That's how it works.
Everyone get in there. 3, 2. Everyone look. 1. Look at one of these cameras. Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I hear you, Five Borough. Well, luckily you got it in you. You're good now.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. Got a couple there for you. Oh, no, someone made it to you when you walked out. Yeah.
It's the campaign.
Donate.
Sorry about that.
When I got my vaccine, I had like chills and stuff. It was crazy.
They made this event happen. Oh, 3, 2, 1. Perfect, everyone. Thank you all. Huh? Oh, yeah, you go ahead.
Man, I just want what you and your wife.
Oh, yeah. All right, 3, 2, 1. I got some. Perfect. There you go. I feel got some for you.
I might as well jump in. Yeah, you guys come by Memorial Day because that's when the Canarsie Pier, there's a lot.
I just have to say, you were my friend's RA.
You want to be a road now?
Probably don't remember him, but yeah, of course. We did say you were good RA. Good guys. Yeah.
3, 2, 1. There it is. Got some fun more for you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a good day.
The way that little one was just grabbing her big brother, he's like, what the
There it is. There you go. Of course, absolutely. Oh, that's the fun right there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. 3, 2, 1. Wonderful. There you go.
That's a good idea, Mr. History fan. That is a good idea.
3. There we go. Perfect. Got a bunch for you, son. You've been such a help today, man. Appreciate this for real.
What's your name? Yeah. I've donated to your live every time you're around here.
For real?
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
What's your name?
Abdul.
Abdul?
Yeah.
You on Twitter?
I'm on Facebook.
Facebook?
And Instagram.
Okay.
Just type Abdul in it.
Okay.
I'm actually gonna have a Twitter. If you type Abdul in it, you'll see me.
Okay.
ABDUL and then INNISS.
Thank you. Thanks.
No, that's not.
I know.
Just type ABDUL second. UL space INNISS. There it is.
Oh, yeah.
Where are you? Here.
Yeah. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you. So you do work for Yang?
Not good. No. It's all grassroots.
Oh, okay. You're your own reporter?
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. Where did he go?
Nice, man. Hopefully he wins.
Yeah.
I want him to win.
Absolutely. We gotta work hard and make it happen.
Yeah, that's fun.
Where did Andrew disappear to?
Yeah, where did Yang go? Oh, he went inside. I don't know.
Hey, we met this guy coming in. He's on Twitter, Yang Gang Twitter, and now he's getting interviewed by, I believe, New York One. I don't know where Andrew went. Would you ask me?
Where did Andrew vanish off to?
I don't know, but thank you so much to Elizabeth. Elizabeth with the $10 donation.
Thank you,
to the Yang
Elizabeth.
for New York
Wow.
campaign. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. We are so excited to get your donation. Every single one of your donations helps fund these signs, these beautiful Yang for New York signs. They help fund these masks, the Yang for New York masks, which you can also buy on the website right now.
This guy asked the housing question, and he really knows his stuff. That was a great event.
Yeah, it was. Andrew disappeared. Did you know Andrew broke news during that?
Specifically what? Yes, that. I thought you meant you were going to try to extract that quick, nervous response you had.
It's nice meeting you.
Oh yeah, for
Did
sure.
you relocate here for the campaign?
No, I just drove up from. I live in Maryland, so I just drove up. You got an interview with in New York One?
I got an interview with somebody.
I think that's New York One.
Okay.
Nice. Oh, I remember.
People are like, you support Yang? I'm like, yeah. I've been supporting Yang since like November 2018.
Dude, what's your Twitter again?
I think I know a lot of the Yang Gang in New York, and Brooklyn Yang Gang's a force to be reckoned with because Brooklyn Yang Gang shows up. We were petitioning. I've done some door knocking with some of the other folks from Brooklyn, so this has been great, and it's nice to see Andrew in here. And I know he's been all around the city, and I'm pretty happy. So, thanks, Matt.
Oh yeah. What's it on the ground like on here? Like just like among like even your friends who aren't like that political. Like, do they know Yang? Like
they know his name. Andrew Yang has some serious name recognition. Not always positive. I mean, I walk around my neighborhood with a Yang shirt. And I get an occasional Yang Gang fist pump, but sometimes I get and I try to talk to people about it because I think people know the name, but they may not know his policy. And I think the key to Andrew is either reading his book or hearing him speak. Because when you hear him speak like he did in there, things just make sense.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing is you don't read the articles, don't read the hit pieces. I think you should really come out and listen to them or watch a YouTube video. And I know a place where there are a lot of YouTube videos with Yang's full speeches, unedited, and that's on Matt's site. So you should go there and watch some of those long-form interviews and speeches, and you'll get a sense of the man, and not from the hit pieces.
So once again, guys, this was Douglas
Hanau, Douglashanau.
Douglas Hanau. Got the pic with Yang. Check him out, follow him.
Thank you.
It's nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet
Take
you.
care.
No, I was watching your videos at home by myself. You in some friggin' VFW hall in Iowa with like 8 people.
Yeah.
So you've been doing the long time.
All right, we gotta see what's going on here.
Surge in gun violence that's affecting far too many communities.
Do you think that
We're having conversations with various people. The fact is we have to go through these processes. And one of the things I talk to my team about is I'm really right? And they said to me very correctly, we've got to win. And the ability to enlist people when you shoot on mentality. So we have to stay focused on the race at hand. And I confess I do think a fair amount about policy. I'm on the record as being a big admirer of Catherine Garcia and her work. We'll have to see where we are and who we talk to.
I want to get your reaction to something Eric Adams said at an event earlier today. He was rallying with members of the Asian community in Sunset Park, and part of what he told them was that
he has been a friend of their community for a long time, that he doesn't need any new friends. I believe that was in reference to you. Can you react to that comment? And also, how do you make these connections with voters to communities where you haven't had long-standing relationships, as someone like Eric Adams, who's been around for a long time, does?
Well, I've been around for 25 years. I haven't been in local politics the way that Eric has. And I'm thrilled when anyone spends time with the Asian American community. We're a very diverse community, and the fact that Eric's there, I think, is a positive thing.
Look, I'm going to follow up on his question about Kathy Garcia. I'm sure you saw her comments about you needing her not needing you. What do you think about that?
You know, I think Catherine's awesome. And I spoke to her after she made those remarks, and she understands exactly like what I was expressing, and I think most people do, which is that she's done a lot for the city, and I would love to work with her in any capacity.
Great, thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. I have stolen 3 mics.
I believe you. This is my worst nightmare. Sorry about that.
Bring it out. Tim Dickman, what's up, man? Hey!
Yes, I know. I feel like
No, that's not going to be live. It's not going to be live unless we stream it on Twitch or something. I guess we can stream it on Twitch and then have the post-production version on YouTube. That'll be good now. Yeah, we'll do it on Twitch. And then we'll film it as well for YouTube.
And then I have done some petitioning. Which one?
Today's our council member, Vanessa Gibson, who's going to be the next Brooklyn Borough, Bronx Borough president. Oh, good Brooklyn, sorry about that. Maybe I should do that again.
I'm rolling.
All right, so thank you. I am so proud to have my campaign co-chaired by Congressman Richard Torres of the Bronx and be endorsed by Assemblymember Penny Berger of the Bronx. We co-announced an expansion of the summer youth employment program together, and now today, City Council Member Vanessa Gibson of the Bronx is going to be the next borough president. We have a ton of energy and enthusiasm in the Bronx because the people there know that our administration is going to be working every day on their behalf to improve Vanessa's community's quality of life in any way we can.
How would you tell the people of the Bronx, how would you explain UBI to them and how you would make it happen? This is a community, as you know, this is one of the poorest communities in New York City, the poorest borough, some of the worst health outcomes. The idea of UBI might be really attractive to them. But how would you actually make it happen?
Well, they've already experienced a couple of versions of it, whether it's the cash relief checks that are coming from DC, or one person came up to me today in the Bronx at our event and said that they received grants from my organization Humanity Forward when we distributed over $1 million to people who were struggling in the Bronx last year. So people in the Bronx very, very easily understand what cash relief is going to mean to them in their pockets. We've committed $1 billion to the most ambitious local cash relief program in the country's history. And I think the people in the Bronx know that there are going to be folks in their neighborhoods that benefit. We just this week announced a plan to tax vacant lots at their true market value or then a very small fraction of that, which itself would raise potentially a majority of our cash relief program.
What about concerns that UBI could eventually replace more generous benefit programs or even public sector union jobs or what have you? You want to address that?
Our cash relief program in New York is going to be for those who are in extreme poverty and will have absolutely zero impact on any existing social safety net programs or any other type of organization.
Thank you guys. We gotta go. We got a fun soccer game to go. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Thanks,
Nice meeting you.
Again, actually.
I'm Daniel. It's great
Thanks,
to
Dan.
Gotta run.
Thanks, Gloria.
Bye, guys. Good luck. Thank you.
Hey, Gloria, you met my wife, Evelyn?
Hi, Gloria.
What is happening with the stream right now? What happened to our camera angle? What in the world?
Wow, it's a great scaffolding. You know, I heard we're gonna fix that.
All right, let me get us
Bye,
moving.
guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
You get a good shout out?
No. Andrew, would I be able to get a shout out real quick for Predumia, Nelly, and that's all I know. Predumia, Nelly, and Deborah. Predumia. Predumia. Yes. Nelly and Deborah.
Okay. Hello, Pedrunia, Nelly, and Deborah. Thank you so much for your generous contributions. It means the world to this campaign. We have a great chance to make history. And you know who's going to thank you? Evelyn!
Thank you guys. Thank you so much for the support.
Appreciate you and support Matt Skidmore. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Matt.
Nice.
But mainly support Andrew Yang.
Yeah.
All right, let's call this a stream. We're gonna see you guys at the next one. 2 o'clock soccer game. We will see you guys there. Take care, everybody. Bye bye. Donate to Andrew. Hope you guys enjoyed the shout outs.